to the channel. This is Brian here from Easthood Racing. Super happy to have you guys here because today I have some wonderful news that I've been waiting to announce, but it seems the world has gone a bit crazy and y'all could use some good news today. We have a new partner joining us for the 2020 season. They're a 40-year plus vet of the automotive industry and an absolute stalwarts when it comes to improving car stability and performance. From the land that Ricardo calls home, we wanted to welcome Superpro on the Easthood Racing team for this year. And this has been something we've been working on for a while, and I'm really happy that this partnership has come together in this way. I've always been a fan of Superpro, even before I had the GTI. When I was doing things with the Scion and Toyota world, they've always had a knack for making really high quality products. And I've always appreciated their meticulous approach to product design and implementation. So they have this great habit of making products that are affordable for everyone, but also perform way outside of their price range. And when it came with the GTI, there were definitely some things we wanted to update for this season. We did great last year, finishing second overall in CSCS, competing in a couple of grid life events and doing things with Pine View Run. And the car is not stock by any means, but there's a lot of components on the vehicle that are still OEM in nature. Namely, a lot of the suspension components that aren't the actual springs and struts themselves. We will be changing to a new coilover setup, courtesy of the homeboys at Spewin. Can't wait to share that with you guys later on. We're really looking forward to seeing what that kit does. But in the meantime, we were looking at improving the stability and the geometry of the OEM suspension as far as, the components, like your trailing arms, your rear control arms, everything like that. So we reached out to the guys at Superpro. Brett and his team were super awesome by working with us. They love the Mark 7, the MQB platform. They make a lot of products for all the vehicles in there. This is going to be an awesome opportunity for me to see what changes can I make while still keeping this car industry classic. So for the rear end, we're going to be changing all the bushings back there. If it's rubber and it moves or it squeaks or whichever, it's getting swapped out. Everything on the car right now, it should be around like 55,000 miles, which is great. It's not super old or anything. And if this was just a normal driving car, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But this is something that we are competing with, and I am going as fast as possible. I am still driving on the street. I want to make sure that durability and reliability is there for these bushings as well. So the rear is going to be pretty simple. Swapping all those bushings out, pressing things out, putting things together. Nothing too crazy there. But what I am excited about is to share with you guys these.
5 minutes later.
Ta-da! So these I'm really looking forward to. These are the control arms that Superpro makes for the MQB Mark 7 platform. This will fit your GTI, Golf, All-Track, TDI. Not sure about the E-Golf. Don't think the E-Golf. I think, you have to check. If you got an E-Golf, you might want to chat with them on that for sure. I can get you in contact if you need. But this is something I'm really looking forward to. If you've never replaced the control arms on your vehicle, which most users really wouldn't have to, in a motorsport application, or even if you like to do canyon driving, these can make a really big difference on how the car handles, especially on turn-in, and as well as getting traction out of the corners. So let's get into that a little bit.
So when you open up the box, this is obviously what you're going to see. It's pretty simple. You have your two control arms. I believe for this that they're universal. There's not a left or a right. One of the interesting things I was talking about with these is that they're going to be able to add about 1 degree of positive caster, like we were talking about, where which I'll explain later on in this video, where it kind of moves the center of the wheel or the hub forward a tick, just kind of help with enhanced traction and mobility. And then also give you that half degree of negative camber. So, when the wheels kind of turn in towards the tops of each other to kind of help with some traction as well. So that's going to give you some precise handling, improved grip. And one of the things I really like about it is going to be an enhanced steering wheel feel and feedback. So you're going to be able to feel the road a lot better than you will with the typical ones. These are also a bit lighter. Not a huge, massive difference, but I believe a couple ounces here. So this is actually going to be really cool. And you can see they have these guys nicely all packaged in there. Obviously, I took this one out, but you can see their bushing setup. That was very robust and some really nice styling on it, even though you'll never really see it because it's on the bottom of the car. And you get some other goodies in there too. So
since we're talking about camber and caster, I want to give a little brief explanation for those who may not be too familiar with the terms. Camber, when you're looking at a vehicle, is kind of how the wheels go in and out. So on a front wheel drive car, or really mostly any car, you generally want negative camber, which means the wheels are kind of turning in, like the top of the wheel is coming towards each other and the bottoms of the tire are pointing out. If you do drag, it's probably different. I don't do drag, I hit corners, so I have no idea. But in our application, when you're flexing the tires and you're pushing really hard, obviously the car is going to move side to side. And if the tires are spaced out just a little bit, it kind of helps increase the contact patch, or just how much tire is sticking with the ground, creating traction, allowing you to brake or put down power. So, I mean, obviously there's a limit. If you have too much negative camber, then you get that wild stuff where you see people can't go over speed bumps, which is not what we're looking for here. But for the GTI, they're really, really, what's the term I want to use? They respond really well to negative camber changes. These control arms, along with the camber plates they already have, they're going to add just about a half unit, so a half degree of negative camber, which isn't a lot, but it's a nice little adjustment to have that you don't have to add on to something else. When I have my camber plates, I already have an additional half degree to play with. So if I want to go more extreme, I can, which is great. Now, one of the other things they take care of is caster. So caster is a little different. So the best way, as Brian frantically searches for a prop. Ooh. Found it. So we can use this Lego monster truck. Believe it or not, yes, I can actually show you how caster works with one of these. So these are the front wheels, right? So if your car is set up and it has just 0 degrees of caster, your wheel is perfectly aligned with everything. Your strut, you've got the fender, XYZ. Now, when they say about adding caster in the Mark 7 world, you're going to be moving this front wheel, or where the center of this wheel is, out, because your control arm connects to where the rest of the suspension of the wheel is. So you're going to be moving this towards the front of the vehicle. Essentially, you can almost say you're making the wheelbase a little longer without actually physically changing the wheelbase of the vehicle. So in a really extreme version, if I press down on the suspension, you see how the front wheel moves up and moves forward as well? This is me adding caster. So instead of the axis for the wheels being here, it is now moved forward a bit. Now, best example, no, but shout out to Lego for making some awesome toys. The reason I want more caster is, since it is a front wheel drive vehicle, I want to improve that turn-in feeling by moving the wheel or the hubs a little more towards the front of the vehicle. I'm changing the balance of the car, and I'm allowing it to be a little bit more responsive when it comes to turn in or rapid inputs through the steering wheel. Is this something you would notice if you were driving around the street? Yes, actually, 1 degree is actually a lot for these cars. Other cars, you may see them move it, depending on how much wheel space you have and how big your wheel wells are. But in this particular instance, that 1 degree should be just enough to give me a little bit more of a bite I need on the initial turn in and under braking, without pushing the wheel so far I start getting into the fender liner and tearing stuff up at the front. Because I do run either like a 255, or in some cases I can run a 265 for a tire width. So there's definitely a lot of meat in there. So I want to increase the caster, but I don't want to do so much that I start doing damage to other components of the vehicle. And as always, the end game, I'm trying to get through these corners faster, because the more time I have to wait for my car to rotate through the apex, that's the less time I can be on the loud pedal. And I'm not going to be able to snap drift the car around to make it shoot out. So let's increase this front grip. Let's increase this maneuverability. So when I'm coming through the corners and I'm getting into these situations, I can go as fast as possible. So that's definitely one of the positives I have for these control arms. And I'm really looking forward to using them. I think it's going to be really fun to make just a small change that'll have such a big consequence, in a good way, and a consequence on the vehicle's behavior. So hopefully that kind of helps explain that a little bit for you. The second thing that I'm really excited to talk about is the front sway bar. Now, the front sway bar is a little big, so I'm not going to hold it right here because it's about yay long. But if you guys know what a sway bar is, you know what a sway bar is. If you don't know what a sway bar is, it is this big bar that attaches to things and it makes things stiffer and makes the car do stuff. That's actually that's not really that bad of an explanation. So for the front sway bar, for a front wheel drive vehicle, typically you'll hear they want to run as soft or as small as a front sway bar, because that'll stiffen the front of the vehicle. And generally in a front wheel drive car, that if it's the stiffer it is, going to be harder for it to navigate around corners because you need it to snap around. The GTI, in my opinion, is built fairly well and actually can use a buff in the front sway bar department, especially when you have compatible end links, because then you can adjust the stiffness, how much angle do you want, and you can tailor it to your own driving style. I think with this front sway bar from Superpro, this is actually going to help me get even deeper into braking, and as well as having some traction and helping keeping the car planted coming out of the corners, because the vehicle makes quite a bit of power with the Turbo Parts Canada turbo we have there. So no front wheel spinning or lifting off because they bounced off something is a little bit of an issue I have from time to time, as well as getting some rotation in the vehicle. So my thought process is, with the aero we're having made from the guys at Aerofab, with the new coilovers, new tires, and the new control arms, there's going to be a lot of things going in at the front that I really want to make sure we increase stability more than anything. Because I can always make the rear of the car lighter to rotate, do whichever, or slide things in. That's just how I drive. But for me, I really like to have the front of the vehicle set, squared, and ready to go. So I think this will help me, fine tune the car on the fly and really get the vehicle to perform the way I want it to on track, to save the time that I want and to honestly have more fun. I think it's going to be something that's going to change the response of the vehicle in a very interesting way based on everything that I have done to the vehicle already. So that's going to be a fun one. Not looking forward to installing it. We're definitely going to be using a lift for that. We're dropping the subframe and whatnot. So we'll get more info on that later. I'll show you guys that video later when the front sway bar does get installed. Thanks for watching this video. Really appreciate you guys checking in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, do all those fun things there. And also, we wanted to give a shout out to Superpro. Thank you again for joining us here on the Easthood Racing team. Looking forward to seeing what we can put together in 2020. Can't wait to share a couple of podiums and send you guys some photos. It's going to be awesome. And for everyone else out there, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, be safe, and have as much fun as you can. Cheers.